Hello and welcome to the Soccer Brothers Podcast. This is episode number 76. I'm your host, Sahil, and I'm excited to talk to you guys today about the USMNT versus Jamaica Gold Cup final that happened on Wednesday night in San Francisco. So going into the game, we're really excited about Andre Blake, Philadelphia Union and Jamaica keeper, who had 3 clean sheets and 19 saves going into this Gold Cup final. And we were all interested to see if he could continue this run of form. Jamaica kind of had to rely on him and the counterattack as they struggled to keep possession. They only had 36% possession across all games before going into this match. In the match before, we saw Clint Dempsey come off the bench and provide a big impact, providing a goal and assist. And then a lot of people were wondering, is Dempsey's best place on the bench? Well, Dempsey himself said before the game, as long as we win, I'm happy. And he said it is what it is. And he looked to accept his role as a bench player. Meanwhile, so we line up for this game. We go into this game, and Bruce Arena makes no starting lineup changes. The starting lineup was as follows, as it was against Costa Rica. Jorge Villafana, Matt Beasler, Jeff Cameron, and Graham Zusi commanded the defense. And in the central midfield, we had Kellen Acosta and Michael Bradley. On the outsides, you had Darlington Nagbe on the left, and on the right-hand side, you had Paul Areola. And then up top, you had Josie Altidore and Jordan Morris. Jordan Morris would eventually move, but I'll talk about that in a second. And basically, in the first half, you saw the U.S., mainly dominating. In the 17 minutes in, we had 69% possession, and we seemed to have most of the chances. And we had some good strikes, but really, one of the most important things in the game happened in the 19th minute. Excuse me. Josie Altidore took a shot from distance, which tested Andre Blake, and it forced him to have to make a double save as Kellen Acosta approached the ball. But on that double save, on the follow-up from Acosta hits Andre Blake's hand, and he gets pretty hurt. You could see his hand trembling, a pretty big gash, and he was forced to be subbed off. And, 4 minutes later, finally, after all the commotion is done, Dwayne Miller came on for Andre Blake. Dwayne Miller plays in the Swiss second division. Not as proven of a keeper, but he did prove to do a decent job going forward into this game. Now, we saw a lot of half chances, I would say, for the U.S. A lot of possession in the final third, but a lot of times that cross or that pass didn't even get past Jamaican defenders. I mean, we've been seeing this with Jorge Villafana all tournament. Just that cross just keeps on hitting the opposite fullback or midfielder from the other team. But in this case, it seemed like that was happening kind of to everyone. Jamaica was just very well organized in defense, and they were able to absorb pressure and at times be a little bit threatening on the counterattack, which was kind of their play style all along, and we knew that was going to happen. I do think that the U.S. was a little bit more direct in their approach from the 30th to the 45th minute, that second part of the first half. Instead of, midfielders just waiting for lanes to open up and waiting for through ball opportunities, it was kind of Darlington Nagbe taking more into his own hands on the left wing, drawing in defenders and allowing Jorge Villafana to overlap, which I think was, part of the reason that we looked so good at the end of the second half. I think that once Nagbe was just allowed to stay centrally because that was his actual position instead of rather than just pinching his like he was in the first half, that allowed us to create very threatening opportunities in the second half. But before we get there, we got to finish up the first half, and before the end of the first half, in the 45th minute, Josie Altidore hits a free kick that is an absolute beauty from well outside the box, and Miller just cannot get to it. People are saying that Blake may have saved it. Blake did make some impressive saves, but let's not discredit Altidore's free kick. That was a very good hit, and it put us up 1-0. And about halftime, we had 65% possession, so we were still doing well. In the second half, we saw a little bit more of a defensive approach to begin with, at least. I think Josie was dropping a little deeper. In the 48th minute, Jordan Morris did really well to win back the ball. He came all the way from the attacking position and won back the ball. So, I mean, I think if there's one thing that you can't criticize Jordan Morris for is his work. I mean, that's why technically, obviously, Clint Dempsey is the better player, but Morris, with his pace and his energy, not necessarily the smartest player at times, but I think that with his pace and energy and that just spirit, he can sometimes make some really important plays, and that's really, really cool to see as a fan, a striker just getting back and winning a ball in the midfield. Nagbe, was just constantly winning free kicks throughout this game. So good at maintaining the ball, so good at drawing fouls, so good at making defenders not want to just kind of tag along with him, make them make a lazy effort, a lazy tackle, and it was really beautiful to see. He just kept on winning those free kicks, and it's a very good asset to the team. But it didn't take long in the second half for Jamaica to equalize. In the 50th minute, Javon Watson scores off a corner kick, and Jordan Morris was absolutely the man to blame on this goal. He was guarding the back post, and just, it was a one-on-one situation, and he just failed to mark Javon Watson. So it ended up being 1-1, and at that point, you're a little bit frustrated. You want to see the U.S. doing a little more, which I don't think they did necessarily directly after. I thought we didn't look that good. It was a lot of again of that thing that we saw in the first half of just Villafaña crosses that were just getting deflected. And honestly, and I know people have been crediting Michael Bradley a lot in this game and in this tournament, and he's been great, no doubt. But I think his long balls were just a little bit off. I don't necessarily agree that his passing was the best in this game. Even though that might be a popular opinion. But I think it's really in the 65th minute, 64th minute where we looked really good going forward. I remember at one point in the 65th minute, we had 3 corners consecutively. The delivery, though, again, I think on Bradley's set pieces and corners wasn't all that good, which is another criticism I have for him in that game. I remember in the 68th minute, Morris had really good pace and really good energy to get past the Jamaican defense. And he put in a cross that was a decent cross, but it misses Josie, and Areola tries to clean it up after that, but can't get to it properly. And the U.S. just looked a lot better from then on out. We had an Omar Gonzalez header go wide from another corner. We just had so many corners by the end of the match. That was really kind of annoying in some senses because we were getting all these chances and we weren't able to capitalize, but it was good that we were at least fighting to get in the final third and get those kind of set pieces. So, but actually, I missed an important substitution. So, which probably allowed this kind of attacking spark that I'm talking about to happen, which was Clint Dempsey coming on for Cal Costa in the 55th minute. So basically, we saw Darlington Nagbe move from left mid to center mid alongside Michael Bradley, and Jordan Morris moved from up top to out wide. This put Jordan Morris in more of a position where he could take defenders one-on-one and utilize his pace a little bit more, as I just said he did. And Darlington Nagbe didn't feel too pressured to keep the width of the team, but rather kind of do what he was doing already and stay in the center and do what he's best at: create chances, draw free kicks, provide, open up more space for the strikers to run onto. So I think that that was a very good substitution. Everyone's kind of playing where they're comfortable. Dempsey moves up top a little bit in a second striker sort of role to Josie Altidore, or an attacking mid or a striker, depending on how you want to think about it. Dempsey kind of does his own thing a lot. He's very independent like that, and it just kind of flows perfectly with his attitude. But that provided everything we allowed to see a little bit more. I just mentioned Clint Dempsey. He had a big chance before our second goal. In the 76th minute, Villafaña actually made a good cross for Clint Dempsey, who headed it, and it was a very good header, actually, and Dwayne Miller had to make a really good save on his right-hand side to deflect it into the post. Great opportunity that definitely could have been 2-1 U.S. at that point. And, up until then, we were just drawing a little bit more chances. In the 84th minute, Altidore, up until the goal, we were drawing a little more chances. Altidore in the 84th minute drew a free kick. In the 85th minute, Dempsey took it, and that we were kind of all hoping that he would break the record there, get 58 goals and beat Len Donovan for most USMNT goals ever, but it didn't happen like that. It looked like he mishit it pretty badly. But it fell to Jordan Morris, who I thought actually should have gotten a cross in. He was just kind of like dribbling around, didn't really know what was going on, and never really got a chance, and Dwayne Miller got to scoop it back up. Oh, and I did forget Gyasi Zardes came on for Paul Arriola in the 77th minute. On that right mid side, that was just a like-for-like change. And Zardes did create a couple of chances. He was a little bit active. His touch did not look good. So I think that one game where his touch was like brilliant, I think that was just kind of like a one-off thing. I do think that he has the ability to improve there, and I do think that, either way, he's explosive with his speed. And, occasionally he's been shown to have decent final product. His touch just lets him down, and it did again today. But anyway, he in the 78th minute, he made some good moves, but again got his cross deflected, which seemed like was happening to every player all night. But that change wasn't too impactful up until our goal actually in the 88th minute. Bradley played a nice through ball out wide to Gyasi Zardes, who had his initial cross headed out by a Jamaican defender, and then Dempsey takes a touch. Whether it was an accident or not, I have no idea. It didn't really look like he could have been aware enough to see Jordan Morris behind him. So I think Dempsey took a touch that just fell out to Jordan Morris, who hits it with a lot of pace, very hard, far right post, and it goes in. Everyone's freaking out. 88th minute, the U.S. wins our 6th Gold Cup, and we are one away from tying Mexico for most Gold Cups. So that's really exciting. And in the 91st minute, or 90 plus 1, Dax McCarty came on for Darlington Nagbe just to hold a little bit. Dax McCarty, a more defensive-minded midfielder, a player that's able to, just soak in the pressure late games, and that was obviously a good change by Bruce Arena. And in general, I thought we did a very good job just clearing the ball out of danger, and our touches were good in our own third. I'm talking, of course, when we were trying to time waste at the end of the game. I thought we did a pretty good job of that, which is kind of surprising because I feel like sometimes we're just prone to giving up late goals. But overall, the U.S. beat Jamaica 2-1 in the final. Michael Bradley won Golden Ball, so congratulations to him. I kind of thought that Andre Blake deserved it. I mean, I know he won Golden Glove, but it is possible to win both. And it was a good tournament. I mean, Alphonso Davies, wow. I mean, scoring 3 goals in that Canadian shirt in this Golden Cup at 16 years old, it's crazy. That kid's got so much upside, younger than I am, to put that into perspective, and it's exciting to see what he'll do. But I'm still going to talk about the U.S. Here. I thought that if I want to, let me just take it step by step and assess really this team that we fielded out there. Paul Arriola, I thought, actually had a big improvement from his night against Costa Rica. I thought he was creating a little more. His final product was not necessarily really good, but it was hard to with Jamaica packing it into the box for most of the game. And I thought that Josie Altidore was sometimes playing really good 1-2s, getting really involved after he dropped deep. Sometimes he's capable of doing that, and that was really cool to see. And obviously, he scored that first goal. So I think that Josie Altidore, strong, should be a part of the national team going forward. Glad that after not scoring a goal in 10 games, that he scored in 2 games in a row. So that's really exciting. And Michael Bradley did what he needed to do, did his job defensively, offensively. Set pieces could have been a lot better. Darlington Nagbe, always the most exciting player. Well, at least in this tournament, bar, because Pulisic's not there. But Darlington Nagbe, always the most exciting player. So good at drawing defenders in and playing through balls on his outside. And Jorge Villafania was pretty much made in this tournament because of Darlington Nagbe. And it's going to be really exciting for me to see him paired up with a more... I want to see him, if he's going to be playing out wide, paired up with a more fullback who's competent in terms of crossing a little more. I like Fabian Johnson at left mid, but it'd be interesting to see maybe like a Nagbe Johnson pairing on the same side. But part of me knows that you want to get the most talent on the field, and you'd have to play a midfielder that's an outside midfielder that's just not as good as some of our options if we were going to do that. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how Bruce Arena decides to go with the lineup in the future, but I know that Jorge Villafania is did a very good job in this tournament of overlapping with Nagbe, getting up, and Nagbe did a good job of holding out the defenders and allowing pretty much 100% of the time to play a successful through ball to Villafana, who, of course, didn't put a very good cross for the box. Callum Acosta came off in this game in the 50th minute, and rightfully so, because he was, not playing well at all. Very disappointing tournament. I thought that he was going to be a player, 20 years old, that, had to prove himself in this tournament and has a lot of upside, and we were all really excited to watch him, but I think he just never showed up. He was never noticed, really. I mean, sometimes he did some little right things, but I feel like, if you're going to, not do anything flashy, then at least don't make any mistakes. But I think that's where Callum Acosta suffered, because he made several mistakes throughout this tournament. He made several turnovers in the midfield. He hung on to the ball for too long. He failed a couple passes. Not a great performance by Callum Acosta. Jordan Morris, obviously, great tournament. He had 3 goals. He had that brace against Martinique. I know that technically he's not necessarily there, as I said before, but I'll still say it's a great tournament, because I think it showed us that he has, the stamina to play in every game, and he has that clinical ability when you need him. And I think he's going to be an important sub, whether you want to put him up top or off the bench. I think he will be a sub and is a sub, but he's making a good case for himself to come to Russia. So I'm excited about him. And who else did we have in the midfield? We had Paul, but I already talked about Paul Areola. I think for the midfield, that's it. Clint Dempsey, I have said some pretty, negative things about Clint Dempsey in the past, but he gets the job done. I mean, he's about to break the record for most goals in a USMNT shirt, and he is technically one of the best players on the team. His dribbling when he's trying is absolutely brilliant, and some of his touches, just his first touch sometimes, is just great. And there's a reason that he was one of the best players in the Premier League at one point. So, not much to say about him. We saw Dom Dwyer earlier in this tournament, and I know he wasn't in this game because he got recalled after we got this new batch of players following the group stage. But Dom Dwyer, beautiful runs, beautiful, just awareness to get in the right positions in front of goal. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do going forward. But as long as we're sticking with this team, we saw 4 different center backs in this tournament, I believe. We saw Hedges, Miazga, Gonzalez, Beasler. And I definitely think that Hedges was the worst of the bunch. Beasler, I think probably the best. Beasler just didn't seem to make as many mistakes as Gonzalez, although I think that both of them at times were pretty liable. I mean, really, we just gotta pray that John Brooks and Jeff Cameron don't get injured, don't get into card trouble, because they are so key. And I think that it is I don't want to say massive downgrade, but kind of a massive downgrade to our 3rd and 4th center backs. That is a good center back pairing, very good. Two top European League starters, Jeff Cameron and John Brooks, and I really miss watching them. So, but we're gonna hopefully be able to see them soon. And then at right back, you had Graham Zusi, who I guess that, I understand that Graham Zusi is not one of our top right back options. I mean, he's still obviously up there, but he's not, DeAndre Yedlin, or really near challenging DeAndre Yedlin. But very, very underwhelmed with what Graham Zusi did in this World Cup, or this Gold Cup. I don't really see the point of him. I don't think he did much offensively. I don't think he did a good job marking off the ball, on the ball. I really hope that we don't see Graham Zusi playing right back, or really starting in any game going forward. Maybe he used to be that good, or maybe the U.S. has just kind of outgrown him in terms of quality, which is a discussion that you're going to get into later. Like, what does this mean? What does this cup mean for the U.S.? But I don't think that Graham Zusi has a place in the starting lineup right now. But I mean, I think we did a very good job in this tournament. Again, you got to give credit to Bruce Arena. He made the right tactical adjustments during the games and between games. We got to see 27 different players take the pitch, which is obviously a big part of the Gold Cup. Everyone knows that you're not going to take this as seriously as as we did in the Copa America Centenario, or you're going to in the World Cup, or even really World Cup qualifying. So it's important to get new faces out there, and 27 is a big number. So it's good that Bruce Arena got to evaluate those players, and all credit to him. I mean, we have not lost a game, and he's been a coach for 14 games. That's impressive. And sometimes it's tough to realize that, but he was just not. Jurgen Klinsmann was just not getting the same results that Bruce Arena is now. So very encouraging signs. And Hall actually gave me the stat. Since Bruce Arena took over, the U.S. has only given up 2 goals with Michael Bradley in the match. So, again, Michael Bradley is an important part of this team. He is the rock. He does everything, and he's got to stay, and he's got to be a player that we're going to build around for the foreseeable future, I think. But we won the Gold Cup. It's not like I wasn't really running around celebrating. I was running around celebrating when Jordan Morris scored that goal. But, it's a competition to, evaluate talent, and we did that. It's a competition to just have some fun. I watched some good goals. I, watched some young talent take the field. Some of them impressed me. People's stock went up. People's stock went down, which is important because you'd rather see that here than in, a World Cup qualifier. And at least we got to win this competition, too. So, I do miss watching Christian Pulisic. I do miss, I do want to see Bobby Wood a little bit more and DeAndre Yedlin, but we'll get to all those players soon. It's just important. Let's just celebrate the win. Obviously, it's not a huge deal, but I don't necessarily think that the U.S. is miles ahead of where we were 4 years ago. I think you saw a Clint Dempsey that was a little bit more closer to his prime. You had a Landon Donovan who was in pretty good form for the national team. You had, I guess at that point, 2013, Josie Altidore actually was pretty fantastic. Before the last part of 2013, he was not. Before he moved to Sunderland, he was even fantastic for club. But yeah, 2013, we were just very good, winning that Gold Cup, comfortably qualifying for the World Cup, finishing first place in the Hex, and we just looked good. But I do think that Bruce Arena has, he says he has a lot of work to do. He says he has a lot of experimentation to work with, and I believe him. I think that this team is going to get better, and I think that things are looking up. We have a fairly young team. By no means, this tournament should show you that we're not relying on Clint Dempsey. Clint Dempsey is now a player who's comfortable being on the bench to provide some talent, which is totally fine with me. And I'm really happy actually that Clint Dempsey's accepted that role. And more affirmation that Josie Altidore and Michael Bradley are important players who changed the tournament after they came in. And I think, and also Tim Howard. I don't even think I've touched on Tim Howard. Just a very solid job. I mean, he's not going to be a world-class keeper again. He's not going to be, I don't even think, the same keeper that had 16 saves against Belgium in the round of 16 in the 2014 World Cup. But he's going to be solid. It is what it is. Hopefully our back line can make up for that. Hopefully Jorge Villafana, John Brooks, Jeff Cameron, and DeAndre Yedlin can give him some help in the World Cup. And, honestly, I'd like to see Bill Hamid get a little bit more caps. But at this point, I don't think that you can develop the same kind of chemistry with Bill Hamid that's already exists with Tim Howard between the goalkeeper and the center backs or the defenders. So, I wouldn't really expect to see Bill Hamid starting that World Cup, But, man, I mean, I know I'm talking about the World Cup so much, and I've been talking about it in every single game, but it's just because, like, honestly, this tournament is a tune-up tournament for the World Cup. I mean, like, no one brought their best teams. I think we brought, like, definitely a better team than, like, Mexico brought. But, you know, this tournament, I'm not saying it can't make you happy. Please be happy. But really, our focus is on Russia. And, like, it just makes me laugh sometimes. Like Jordan Morris was, like, I don't know if this was before the game or after the game, but he's just like, you know, like a reporter asked him, I think it was Jenny Taft, something about the World Cup, and then he was just like, I know, I'm just focused on here and now. I'm not even thinking about the World Cup. Like, I just kind of think that's BS. Like, come on, you're 20 years old. You've been watching the World Cup probably for as long as you can remember. You've always wanted to be one of those guys representing your country at the world's biggest stage, and you're not thinking about it. You're not thinking about trying to get into that team. You're playing just to win a gold cup. A gold cup where, like, a lot of starters aren't even there? Nah. Everyone's got the gold cup in the back of their head. Or, sorry, the World Cup in the back of their head. And that's how it's going to be every gold cup that happens before the World Cup. Because, yeah, the one right after, people are a little bit more competitive. But for this one, it's really just about getting ready for the World Cup and getting on the roster for the next World Cup qualifier. So, you know, great to win this tournament. I'm really excited. I want to level Mexico on the amount of gold cups that we have, but it's time to move forward and look at World Cup qualifying soon. And I'm really excited. I think, you know, our three biggest winners from this tournament, or at least the players that I want to see some more of, absolutely, are actually, yeah, just winners, because obviously I want to see more of Michael Bradley and Josie Altidore, but they didn't really prove that in this tournament. I'm going to say my three winners are Darlington Nagbe, Jordan Morris, and Dom Dwyer. Those are three players that I absolutely want to see again come World Cup qualifying time, and I think they should be, you know, very important. Some of them are prospects, like Jordan Morris. I think that, you know, he's got a lot of room to develop, and he should be a valuable part of the team for the next, hopefully, decade. And then Darlington Nagbe and Dom Dwyer, established players who can get the job done. And I'm really excited to see those three. And then in terms of losers, I'd say Callan Acosta is a pretty big loser, but I really think that we should still bring him to the next cycle. But if he performs like this again or in the next qualifier, then I don't think that we should really be taking him as seriously as maybe some other midfield prospects. Maybe we do need to operate with Nagbe in the center midfield, or maybe you know look at a player like Sacha Kljestan, or maybe start a player like Dax McCarty. Even though I really don't want to do that, but I really just think that Callan Acosta isn't really adding that much as we speak. So, yeah, I would say that Callan Acosta, definitely, and Graham Zusi, I really don't want to see again. Hedges, I don't think he's going to get the opportunity to start, or yeah, definitely not start for the foreseeable future in any qualifier. But yeah, I mean, I think there were a lot of players. There weren't a ton of players that really totally surprised me or shocked me. But I think those are some notable players that I think stock moved up or down in this tournament. In other soccer news, LA Galaxy actually added Jonathan Dos Santos, the Mexican midfielder, which is exciting. So he gets to play with his brother. And, LA, they look to improve this season. I definitely think they have more talent right now than their position in the table shows. They're ninth in the West right now. 9th in the West. 6-4-10. And yeah, I know they haven't played as many matches as some other teams in that conference, but they just still have not really looked that good or gotten the results. So they need to prove that their budget has been worth it, because 9th place just isn't good enough for now. And other than that, I think that, that's pretty much all that I want to talk about. We have an email for this podcast at SoccerBrothersPodcast@gmail.com. We have a Twitter and Instagram. Those are at SoccerBrosPod. You can find us on SoundCloud, as long as it's around Google Play. iTunes, Podkicker, review and rate us there. Email us if you have any questions. I have a sports Twitter now. That's at ASR_Sahil. Make sure to check me out because it's kind of getting lonely with only like 20 followers. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here, but I will see you guys next time on episode 77 of the Soccer Brothers Podcast. It won't involve, obviously, as much USMNT news, but I'll be talking a little bit more about the beginning of Europa League competition and some transfer rumors and etc. as we get closer to the European season. And I'll look to cover a little bit more MLS. So I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you guys next time on episode number 77 of the Soccer Brothers Podcast.